I have a riddle for you guys. What's red and red and red all over? That's right, internal bleeding after you ride an SLC. I'm gonna rank every coaster and give them my review. Every drop and every hill, every launch and every loop. Rate it 1 to 10 and then we'll do it all again. Gonna rank and review every coaster. What's going on, everybody? My name is Mario. This is a channel all about amusement park type stuff, but mostly coasters. And today, in my never-ending journey to rank and review every single coaster I have ever been on, we're going to be talking about SLCs. Real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I just recently hit 500, so to all of my new subscribers, welcome. To all of my old subscribers, thanks for sticking around. And to anybody that's not subscribed yet, you better subscribe, or else Santa's gonna take all of your presents back. But without any further ado, let's review. So before getting into the meat of the video, let's go over some of the stats of SLCs. Standard SLCs have a height of 109 feet, a top speed of 50 miles per hour, 5 inversions, and a track length of 2,260 feet. And much like boomerangs, the stats with these are pretty good once again. And once again, the main problem with old Vekomas, they're kind of like the only legal torture devices that people actually pay to ride. Pretty crazy when you think about it. So the similarities between SLCs and boomerangs don't stop at the fact that 1, they're both painful, and 2, they're both made by Vekoma. But another one of those similarities is actually a positive. They look really nice off-ride. I mean, I know Kong obviously doesn't have the freshest paint job, but I think the layout looks pretty aesthetically pleasing, especially the, whatever that inversion is called, Sidewinder? And just like boomerangs, it's fun to just watch them go through the course. Operations on these are actually not too bad. They do have a pretty short ride duration, and I know from personal experience that it's really easy to check these restraints quickly and send the train out. Now let's talk a little bit about the on-ride experience. First of all, I think the first drop is actually kind of cool. I love that it ends like kind of just sideways, and if it weren't for how shaky SLCs are, I don't think it would be uncomfortable. I think it's so fun just swooping you to the side like that. It's pretty unique, and I don't mind how gradual the drop is. I feel like it builds up the intensity of the ride nicely, even though it does take a relatively long time to build up your speed compared to other more modern drops, I suppose. Now, from a negative perspective, that first drop also gives you ample time to your pants and regret every life decision you've ever made. And then you start to level out and pull up into that first inversion. Pulling up into that gives you some really nice positive G's, but you do also kind of jackhammer, so you get positives, but it's not necessarily a positive. And when you start to go towards the top of the inversion, that's when things start shifting around a lot. But if you can set aside the pain and ride it the best way possible, you get some fun hang time up at the top of that inversion. You dip down with a little half twist, back up with another half twist, decent hang time again, and then you pull down and get decent positives at the bottom of that inversion as well. Next comes one of my favorite parts, if not my favorite part. You get a fun little overbank turn that also flies by the station. Obviously, this element doesn't get talked about because everybody hates SLCs, but you get a really awesome sideways floater airtime sensation. Hitting the bottom of that element, however, which I do believe is the lowest part of the ride, you're hitting some intense positive G's. And I think even on my best rides, this part of the ride is always uncomfortable. I don't even think the toughest coaster enthusiast can enjoy that, but if you can, more power to you. And then it does a similar thing that the first inversion does, where it whips you up and over yourself, also having that awkward shifting when you reach the apex of that inversion. From here on out, I don't think the headbanging and like side to side aspects of the ride are as bad. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of the speed has worn off by this point, but if you've made it this far without breaking your back or cracking your skull open, you're just about in the clear. You make a swooping right turn out of that inversion, and then go into arguably the best part of the ride, definitely my second favorite, if not my favorite element. You go into a double twist. Double barrel roll? Double something. Gives some really nice hang time. It's pretty smooth as well, and it flows very nicely. You do a little swooping dip, right turn, and then you hit the final brakes, which depending on the SLC will break your back because you Slam so freaking hard. I mean, you go from like 20 to 0 in half a second. But even as someone that does not hate SLCs, that final brake run is pretty brutal. That's pretty much it for the layout. You do a couple right turns and you're back in the station. And I feel like it's a pretty fun layout. I mean, there's some decent forces there. I feel like it flows through the layout well. It has really nice pacing. You get some cool leg choppers as a nice compact layout, so you get cool visuals of everything flying by you. But obviously, the biggest problem with these is the comfort. There's pretty much two problems in my opinion: the head area and the back area. These are infamous for their headbanging, obviously, but I don't find the over-the-shoulder restraints to be that bad. Are they bulky? Absolutely. But if you are going to make big, bulky over-the-shoulder restraints, it is nice for them to be super soft at least, so that when your head does hit them, it doesn't really hurt that bad. At least to me. I could totally understand if getting your head smacked back and forth 50 times on a roller coaster is not exactly your thing. That'd be pretty reasonable. But yeah, I've never gotten a headache coming off of Kong, surprisingly. Now to move down to the back region, that is where I find my problems. Your head has the cushion to protect it, but your spine is still shifting around in really weird, abrupt, and unnatural ways that I don't think is really avoidable. It seems like through most elements, at least through the first half of the ride, you are shifting side to side and jackhammering a lot. Really, really not good. And then the last thing that can be uncomfortable is with some of the newer trains, like on T3 specifically, you get rid of some of the headbanging with those vest restraints, which is awesome. But especially for someone like me who doesn't have a big problem with the actual over-the-shoulder restraints themselves, these trains are arguably worse because of what they do to your lap. They clamp down like super hard on your thigh, and the shape of the restraint just does not feel right. It doesn't feel curved. It feels like it's straight across and just digging into your bones. Aside from the universal jittering that you get on every SLC, my least favorite part about T3 was just the rigid restraint sticking into my leg. But my advice to avoiding a lot of this discomfort on SLCs is, well, similar to boomerangs, just don't ride it. But if you do make the decision to ride it because you obviously need to ride every coaster out there, ride it like this. That's the best advice I can give. Just give it a death grip hug and hope for the best. But all in all, I actually like these rides. Do I think they're good? I think objectively, they're really not good rides, but I don't know, man. I think getting the opportunity to operate this and having sort of sentimental value for it being the first ride I was a lead at, I think they're kind of fun. All right, now it's time for that good old-fashioned pros and cons list. Pros, looks nice. It has a fun layout. The forces are good if you aren't in immense pain. And lastly, there's usually a pretty short wait. Cons. There's a good chance that if you ride it, you're going to need spinal reconstructive surgery. Head banging, back banging, butt banging. Oh, no. No butt banging, please. And some of the newer trains are going to cut off circulation in your legs. But if that's all stuff you can handle, it's not a bad ride. And then to rate SLCs on a scale of 1 to 10, gonna rate all of them here and then rank them individually. I'd give them a 5 out of 10, I think. If anything above 5 is good and anything below 5 is bad, I'd say that for me personally, the good stuff does enough to outweigh the bad stuff, just enough to make it a decent ride. And then last but not least, ranking them. And boy, you guys are gonna hate me for this one. At the time of making this video, I've been on 208 coasters, and Vekoma SLCs currently sit between 122 and 119 on my list. Mind Racer is at the bottom because I found it to be the shakiest out of all of them. T3 at Kentucky Kingdom is right above that. It avoided the headbanging, but again broke my legs and snapped my back just as much as any other SLC. Kong is above that because I feel like it runs slightly smoother than those other two, and sentimental value. And Ednor at Ronde is my favorite because it has a wonderful setting over the water. And there's water cannons that shoot off. Or at least shot off when I rode it. Let's be honest, it's a Six Flags park. They're probably not still running the water cannons. But that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is greatly appreciated. Go ahead and let me know in the comments what you guys think of SLCs. There were definitely a lot of people disagreeing with me on Boomerang, so I'm excited to look at the comments on this one. Make sure to like the video if you liked it. Give it 2 thumbs down if you didn't like it. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you want to watch more of these. Share the video if you're feeling extra fancy. And make sure to tune in next time where we'll be talking about... Oh, a good ride. Awesome.